dramatic story, I would say.
Okay.
So the stock price actually surged to $114.22.
Wow.
And the driver of that was that they announced some really positive phase 3 trial results for their ovarian cancer treatment.
Oh, wow.
And this was announced on March 31st.
Okay.
And, that's the kind of news that can really send a stock soaring.
Absolutely. Phase 3 results, those are the big ones.
Yeah.
They're the ones that really matter because they're the ones that are closest to potential approval.
Mm-hmm.
So, that kind of news can definitely have a huge impact on a stock price.
So what did these results actually show?
So it looks like the trial demonstrated that their drug, relacorilant,
Okay.
when it's used in combination with chemotherapy, it actually delayed the progression of ovarian cancer by 30%.
Wow, that's significant.
It is, and particularly for patients with what's called platinum-resistant disease.
Okay.
So these are patients whose cancer has stopped responding to earlier platinum-based chemotherapy. So, it's a really tough group of patients to treat.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to show a benefit in that population is, really promising.
So what kind of impact did this have on these patients?
So for those patients, the treatment actually extended what's called progression-free survival to an average of 6.5 months.
So what does that mean exactly?
So that means that on average, those patients lived for 6.5 months without their cancer getting worse.
Oh, wow.
Which, for patients with platinum-resistant ovarian cancer is a really meaningful clinical benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we saw that the market reacted really positively to this news.
Yeah.
But then just a day later, on April 1st, we actually saw a pretty big drop
Yeah.
of almost 20%, which brought the price down to $91.93.
So a bit of a pullback there.
Yeah. It's a pretty sharp reversal.
It is, and it's actually not uncommon to see that kind of price action after a big jump.
Oh, okay.
Often what happens is that some investors who bought the stock earlier, they decide to take their profits off the table.
Right.
And that creates, downward pressure in the short term.
So even though it looks like, a bad thing, it might just be, part of the natural ebb and flow of the market.
Exactly. And, it's really important to keep in mind that even after that drop, the stock is still up over 60% from 2 weeks ago.
That's true.
So, that positive trial data has definitely had a lasting impact.
And it seems like that impact is going to continue because the outlook for CORT is actually pretty positive.
Yeah, it is. And, there's a lot of excitement, I think, around, the potential for this drug. And the fact that it could potentially, address this really, unmet need.
Yeah, and it is currently considered a buy candidate. And the prediction is for it to go up by almost 9% over the next